for joining us today. We'll get started in just a few minutes. Hello, Canal. How are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Paula. Good to see you. Hello, everyone.
We've got quite a few people signing in, so we'll get started shortly.
Sure.
If anyone wants to post in the chat, tell us what frigid temperatures you might be experiencing today in your part of the country. I'd send you some Florida sunshine, but we haven't had any sunshine in days. Jennifer says it's 63 in Georgia. Well, it's 62 in Tampa. Crazy, isn't it? So we have one of our longest clients on the line with us today. So Stan Dean is in Idaho. So hi, Stan. Happy New Year, and I hope you're not freezing too much. Montserrat hasn't joined us yet. Otherwise, we'd have some lovely music in the background. I can't figure out how to make that happen, Canal.
That's Montserrat's special.
We need to have a theme song. I keep telling her that.
We literally do.
Got a lot of people signing in. Everyone wants to kick off the new year, setting out their goals and learning from others on how they're succeeding in using InsuredMine. So I think today is going to be a great session.
Yes.
And a lot to cover.
Yep. And I'm so happy that it's 2025 and we're back with webinars, right? So this year again would be a lot of discussions. Montserrat is here.
Hello, Monty. We were just talking about you. We were waiting for our beautiful music. We need a theme song while we're waiting.
Hi, everyone. How things are going?
Well, the temperature's in the 60s across the country from whatever everyone's posting in chat. I told them I'd send them some Florida sunshine, but we really don't have much sunshine in Florida these days.
No, I was expecting. So I arrived today to Orlando because today we have an event. Well, these 3 days we have an event with one of our clients. And I was hopefully, and with all my hope, finger crossed, that when I arrive to Orlando, we will have a lot of sun because in Dallas we do not have sun yet. But nope, it's not happening.
It's not happening. All right, well, I know everyone's time is valuable. We'll just get started in just about a minute or two, right, Monty? I think we've got heading up to 100 so far that are joining us, so this is an awesome day.
Yes, so let's kick off this first webinar of the year 2025. How exciting it's that we are going to start our webinars. I know probably it's a little end of the month, a little late, but we were putting together all the webinars that we are going to have. So happy to have Paula, Conal, and of course all the CSM support team and Sherpa team joining us. And of course you, clients that you are joining us. We have seen some familiar faces. And just to let you know, and probably Paul and Conal, they are going to make it later also, share with you, it's that now we are going to have, instead of weekly webinars, we will have bi-weekly webinars in which we expect with those bi-weekly webinars, we give you more time that you spend in the system. We are going to change the topic, some of them, or we are going to recover some of the topics because last year we covered a lot of the system. We give you a lot of content, and I hope, guys, that with all of that content that you had from last year, now this year you start planning your 2025. If you haven't had a chance to start planning your 2025, Today is the day that you will learn more about it. What does InsuredMine suggest to you? And all the new things that it's coming. So, Paula, Kunal, thank you
All
for helping me with this.
All right. Thanks, Monty, our fearless leader.
Thank you, Montserrat.
All right, perfect. So thanks everybody for joining us. We're excited. Kunal and I were going to kind of partner together, but make it a little bit interactive. You know, we'll pause along the way. We'd love to have your feedback in the chat. So please use the webinar chat option. We'll share some resources with you at the end. So as we talk about our 2025 kickoff, we'll also end the webinar reviewing some of our December updates. And of course, as Montserrat mentioned, future sessions that are coming up. So Kunal and I are going to share some insights from clients who have completed our business growth and alignment survey. So we have connected with our customers in November and December and sending everybody, you know, their business and alignment survey so that when we connect with you, we have a better idea of what your expectations are and what you want to get out of the portal as you engage with your staff and your prospects and your clients. So we'll be highlighting some of those key questions and answers that we've already received, right? What great insight that we have from our clients. And we also welcome you, as I said, to make sure that you share your feedback in the live chat. And then we'll proceed with a brief recap of the latest updates from December, as I mentioned. Those were sent out via email to everybody. And they're also always available on insuredmine.com/webinar. So having stated that, let's move on to our next slide. So that's a little bit about our agenda. Got ahead of myself. We'll always make room for Q&As though, before we wrap up. And then this slide obviously is very important, you know, talking about it's really important for agencies to set their goals, you know, to make those unified decisions, align your teams so that you have a specific plan and what you want to achieve, whether it's, you know, your business plan or how you want to use your platforms or InsuredMine, obviously to improve efficiency and your satisfaction. And then improving your customer relations. Obviously, we all want to have organic sales, good retention, and those types of things. Being proactive is always better to be ahead of the curve, so to speak, while making sure that all your data, you know, is in line. So having kind of reviewed that, so Kunal, why don't we talk a little bit about agency understanding? So what have our clients told us that their business priorities are this year so far?
Perfect. So Paula, thank you for that opportunity to discuss that question. Before I jump into answering that question, I would also want to tell a bit about what we see in our screen about why planning 2025 is crucial for us and the agency as well. So for 2025, we are trying to understand how exactly you're aligning your goal and how InsuredMine fits best there, right? Paula did mention that we have shared a survey. You have taken your time to fill it up, and we have reviewed a lot of answers, and we are also trying to get back to you to discuss and implement that process as well in InsuredMine. Having said that, we are yet to hear back from a lot of our agencies as well. So we would again share that link by the end of today's discussion, and you can try to fill it up. You would be spending somewhere around 20 to or 30 minutes filling up the long form, but that would help your CSM to plan out the process for your 2025 along with yourself. So that 30 minutes would actually help you to build your 2025 in here with InsuredMine.
And help us help them.
Exactly, Paula. Perfect. Having said that, when we talk about business priorities, I have reviewed a lot of my agencies filling up the form. And what I see in terms of commonality in there is about feature utilization and module penetration. Now, when I say that, what I'm trying to brief over here is there are a lot of features that you would find in InsuredMine. And again, agencies utilize as per their requirement, right? So a lot of my agencies are focusing on pipeline. Let's say a lot of my agencies are only focusing on e-signature and pipelines as well. Then there are some of my agencies who are utilizing engagement pipelines, and e-signature, right? So according to the requirement, they are switching over. But what I've seen in terms of commonality is they're trying to switch over and penetrate for the other modules that InsuredMine offers. Now, when I say that, probably an agency who is not utilizing the workflow automation in engagement, they are trying to get that done. So a lot of times you're just starting off with happy birthday automation, right? But then you also have X date, you also have welcome clients, you also have monolines, cross sells, which you have not yet started or plan to start. So those are the things that agencies are also trying to utilize this time in 2025, so that they utilize the maximum out of InsuredMine itself. So that is something that I've seen in terms of prioritization, that they are looking forward to explore InsuredMine as more as possible.
Yeah, and I think, in product development and organic growth, those are all business priorities. So has anybody have any feedback in the chat they want to share with us? Any one particular priority that you identified with your agency? That would be great to share, because I know others, we all learn from each other, right? While we're all in the same business, we operate a little differently. Everyone has different goals and expectations in what they want to achieve in 2025. So let's say, has anybody adopted a new functionality in InsuredMine?
Yes, we would love to hear that.
If anybody wants to post that, that would be awesome. Cross-sell automation, all right, and we'll talk about that because that's really important, right? What better way to grow your book of business than from within your book of business, right? Mike's got his service pipeline up and running, so he says he's very happy with that, and so that's a great process, and then maybe on somebody's roadmap for 2025 to implement something like that. And I think, Montserrat, we're having a webinar maybe in March or so about service pipeline.
Yes, we will have specific pipelines webinars.
Excellent, excellent. Someone's introduced Sly Broadcast, which I think is a really cool integration that we have with InsuredMine. And Laura mentions, creating forms and using forms to create deal cards and things like that, forwarding emails. So all great things. Awesome. All right, Kanal, what you got for me?
Perfect. The next thing, let's talk about a bit about product adoption as well. So when we start with agencies, right, we try to develop the champion, we try to maximize the utilization of InsuredMine, and we try to connect with agents, admins to do that, right? So what has your agency feedback been in terms of product adoption, and how you are trying to plan to increase the champions within the agency as well?
Right, and I think that, agencies always look to have a consistent process, right? That's one of the big things, because that way your teams are aligned and your goals are achieved by having that consistent process. And it could be in sales, it could be obviously new business, it could be renewal, it could be, service, and it could be just how you want to communicate to your prospects and your clients.
Sure.
As we know, sometimes change is hard, right? Especially if you're newer to any kind of platform. And, we always talk internally when we connect with our clients, we like to make sure that we at least identify someone who's a champion of the portal, or at least what we call a power user, right? Because you may find that somebody in your agency is just a little bit more savvy in the process. Well, what better way for your team to interact with one another by having that super user or champion help you internally? I think that's really important.
And I believe a lot of our users are champion as well, right? So that's again an advantage point. They are also a part of CSM too, to be pretty honest and frank, for their agency.
Right, and you try to have a single platform, right? And that's kind of what InsuredMine is focused on, is bringing your teams together to have one single source that they can utilize. So how how, I would say, let's ask the attendees, you know, how has your
Yes.
agency overcome product adoption? What are you doing at your agency to get not only better buy-in, but consistent process?
Yes.
I know we've got a lot of questions in here from answers from the last inquiry, so
And I would also want to add another question is I would also want to understand what challenges probably you might be facing while adopting InsuredMine as well. So we also get to see your thought process there.
yeah, perfect. So anyone want to share their feedback in the chat? That would be excellent. So Daniel mentions removing alternatives, right? So that's true. So having a consistent process by training your team to, you know, start an InsuredMine. And then that way that kind of takes out the noise from the other platforms that you might be using. And, you know, there are some user permissions and restrictions in the portal. So Mary had mentioned, you know, having that capability and as an admin, you know, as an admin, you have the magic wand into setting things up in the portal and prohibiting people from doing or seeing certain things. So I know many of you may be agents or in an agent role, but as you connect with your leadership or your admins of InsuredMine, you know, you can share your feedback with them. And that can help you as well.
Yep.
So anything else to add into that, Kunal?
No, I think they are sharing their feedback as well. And again, it aligns with us as well. So once we hear back your feedback, we can discuss this with the development team, with the internal team as well. And we can try to get that out of the picture.
Yeah, so one of our clients mentioned, you know, life insurance is a different monster, a different animal as we call it, right? So, you know, you can build a separate life insurance pipeline, have separate automations for that. So there's some things that you can do there that help separate that, but stay within the same pool.
Yes.
Perfect. All right, so let's move on to our next item is the 2025 growth and success. So how have our agencies envisioned InsuredMine playing a role in the future growth and success of the agency?
Perfect. That's a great question. And we have asked this question in our form as well, right? And again, the growth is always directly related to sales, right? And once we are also doing sales, we have also seen that a lot of our agencies focus on retention too. So sales and retention being one of their focus areas. But we've also seen that for this year, a lot of my agencies have came back and told me through the form as well and during our discussions that they would also want to focus back on the X dates. So adding X dates on the lost clients to get back and retain the clients that they lost probably last year. So as much as they are focused on the renewals aspect as well as the new business to actually grow their valuation, they're also focusing on to get back the lost clients through X-date automation as well as the X-date pipeline there. Having said that, they would also want to automate a few things for their agents as well, because they would want them to focus more on sales rather than doing a lot of manual aspects within the portal. And that is where InsuredMine plays a crucial role, right? So they would also want to automate a lot of tasks on a day-to-day basis for their agents. The general follow-ups they would want to automate in terms of the processes. So those general aspects, I think that would be playing a major role when we talk about growth in 2025 for my agencies. Anything that you found from your agencies other than this?
Yeah, and there's some obviously integration questions coming in as well. And we all know that each agency management system has just a different data point that integrates back and forth. We work, you know, tirelessly with our AMS partners in trying to open up those data points. Sometimes they're just not available, right? So, you know, we work best as we can in that integration piece. And so anytime, you know, our support team and our development team are always striving for more, because you ask and we ask them. So we try to deliver as much as we can. So Kunal, I think you did a webinar last year on X dates.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, so if anybody, and I will probably do another one because that's always a hot topic. But I think if you go to InsuredMine.com/webinar, you can look at all of our sessions from 2024 and get
Yes.
a little better understanding of that. And then renewal list as well. So there's ways that you can set up a renewal pipeline, or if you just want to do a communication out to remind your clients that they're coming up for renewal, whether it's 30, 60, 90 days. So there's a lot of ways that you can and slice and dice that. So Laura provided a nice response to Mike.
Yes.
Thank you very much for that about, you know, X dates and renewals. And any of your CSMs, whether it's Kunal, myself, Prakar, Shreya, who did I miss?
Alex.
Montserrat, and what? Can I miss Alex? I can't miss Alex. Can help you as well. Anytime you're in the portal, you know, we have our help key over on the right-hand side. And if you really want to dive into everything and you haven't taken the InsuredMine Academy classes, they would really help you as well. So at the end, I'll kind of post something on that. And yes, I will put the link to InsuredMine here in the webinar in the chat. So it's just InsuredMine.com/webinar.
Yes.
Okay. I think that's all the questions.
I think I have one more question.
Oh,
And
sure.
it just popped up in my mind. And again, this is one from my from our form itself, right? So we have been helping our agencies, but what has been your response from your agencies, and what have you seen in terms of responses when we ask them, like, what can IM be better supporting agency goals, and how can we address their challenges, right? So we do the training, we do the follow-ups there, we train them on the portal, we help them set up things in the platform, but then what are we missing, or what are they still facing as a challenge? What responses have you received around that?
Right, and I think that, you know, while you want to achieve everything, I think you really need to focus in on what are the top 1, 2, or 3 things.
Sure.
You know, we kind of give you that in some of the roadmaps that we talk about. So I think what is important for your agency, and how do you want to do that? So is it X dates, or is it a renewal pipeline, or is it just a mere happy birthday campaign, right? Something simple to stay connected with your clients and your prospects.
Yes. Perfect. Any other questions that our viewers or our attendees today would want to ask us in terms of 2025 planning that we probably might have been asking them within the form itself?
Yeah, absolutely. And so there's some suggestions coming in the chat as well. So we appreciate and value your suggestions. Yeah, so Eric's right? So it's like focus in on, you know, top 2 or 3 things that you want to solve for. Like, so what is the biggest pain point in your agency? Is it, you know, not being able to stay on top of renewals? Okay, if that's it, then let's look at maybe setting up a workflow to just do a renewal reminder. If you don't have the manpower to manage a renewal pipeline, even though you can put automation behind it, maybe it's just something as simple as sending out, you know, reminder. Yeah.
True.
All right, perfect. Yeah, so cross-sell home auto to home clients. And so you can, so Kunal,
Said that,
how many cross
sorry.
sells can you set up, right? I think the
And
possibilities are endless.
yes, n number of process we can set up.
Yeah, and you can even hone it down, and if you wanted just to do it to, you know, whether it's certain users in the portal, or if you want to do it across the agency.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Perfect. So, do we have anything else that we talk about in terms of 2025?
Yeah, so I think that you mentioned it earlier, and I think it's the best way for us to align with your individual agency goals is by you completing that survey.
Yeah.
And there's 4 tabs in the survey, and yes, all of your input is very valuable. Hone in on the answers that are important to you. We see those, we review them, and when we connect with you, we try to help you align with those. So Antonia, I'll post the link to the survey in the chat in just a moment when we move off onto the next screen.
Yeah. And we'll also drop an email again to circulate that link to for our agency so that if they hadn't filled up during December, they can again revisit and fill it up again.
Yeah, so what else are key points? So let me move on to the next slide because I think this kind of may help a little bit.
Yes.
These couple of slides are kind of busy, but they have some valuable information. So what stands out here for you, Kunal?
So again, all the 10 different pointers that we were talking about while formulating the 2025 plan, I have tried to make it a bit more detailed so that we understand what exactly are we trying to envision or we are trying to get out of those 10 pointers. And the 30 minutes that you actually spend to fill up that form for us, what exactly we would benchmark you for this 2025 itself, right? So in here, we have tried to dig deep down onto it and we have made the pointers out of it, right? So I would quickly scan through a few of the options and then Paula, you can also pitch in over here, right? So we first start off with assessing our current performance and setting the foundation, right? When we say that, what exactly we mean is we review how our 2025 performance was, right? What exactly we achieved back in 2024. And from there, we try to do our SWOT analysis, right? We look through our strengths, we look through our weaknesses, we look through our opportunities and the threats. We do the SWOT analysis, and then we come back to discuss how should our 2025 look like. So if certain things worked in 2024, we keep it that way. If it did not work in 2024, we try to mold that plan and we try to formulate a different plan altogether and apply it in InsuredMine, and we see results as well. That is how we need to assess first, and then deep down into 2025. Rather than just planning, we first step back and see how 2025 was, right? The next thing we would then want to talk about how exactly you should be focusing on your clients, right? Or how exactly you would be adopting your goals that you are planning to adopt. So in here, you would also want to interact a lot with your clients. And how exactly you would do that? You would send automations, you would do the renewal reminders, but you would also want to receive feedbacks from your clients. Now, you would also find that you have reputation or Google review, which we previously called an InsuredMine as well. And from there, if you're not comfortable sharing the Google review link, you can start off with doing NPS. So you can look for net promoter scores within your client base, and you would then be able to understand who is actually happy with your services, who is still not happy, and what exactly you're lacking. You can reach out and you can try to understand what did not work out and how you can improve the service. So you can also NPS as well as Google review can also play a major role while you're trying to gather feedbacks from your clients as well, because that is another important touch point with your client. Anything to add there, Paula, in terms of getting back the feedback with NPS or Google review?
Yeah, and the NPS is just a great way to start, like you said, and there is a lot that InsuredMine offers, and whether you're new to InsuredMine or you're a veteran, there are a lot of functionality. So I always say, focus on those top 1 or 2, 3 things that you want to achieve. And I think one thing too, Canal, is agents kind of forget. So why don't you talk a little bit about the analytics with InsuredMine and how things can be measured?
Exactly. So that again being, you would find that I have mentioned that as the pointer 10. So tracking and adopting. As we are planning for 2025, we would be creating goals, but we would also want to segregate that goals within short-term goals, medium-term goals, and long-term goals. And when I say that, we are basically trying to understand how our monthly goals are coming around or the quarterly goals are coming around. So in that way, we can also run reports, again, sales dashboard, it would come into handy there. So how exactly we are trying to go for pipeline analytics. So you are doing the sales analytics, you are doing the renewals, how much you are actually achieving, how many wins are you doing, how many losses are you making in terms of clients. So that would give you a track point on how exactly things are moving along in 2025. And we need to do that monthly as well, into how much is our sales per month, how much we are renewing per month as well. So those numbers we would be able to trace and track through reports. And again, pipeline analytics would come into handy there.
Right, and whether you're an admin and you're looking at it globally for your agency, or whether you're an agent looking at your particular book of business, you can still track, right? And so if you're working in the pipeline, I think it's important, to know what's in there. Looking at your report functionality within InsuredMine. And I think, having the webinar chat, and there's some agents back and forth and talking to one another. So I think that is really a cool setting that we have, right? By sharing, what you have learned. So I think maybe a couple of questions in the chat. So is there any functionality that you have found successful in 2024 that you're going to continue with, right? Something continual, or is there something maybe that didn't work and you want to change it, right? So is anybody doing that, changing up their processes? What, now that you've maybe been in InsuredMine and you're working with your teams, and and your team members have said, well, this piece isn't working, because a lot of agencies tweak along the way, right, Kunal? I mean, it's not always set in stone. That's the beauty of InsuredMine.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good question there. And what generally we see is, again, in terms of touch points, right? And this is again in respect of what I have worked with my agencies. So initially when they start off, it is always scary for them to adopt a lot of automations, right? And send out a lot of communications through automations, because it is always generalized. You're trying to add in tags. They're in the thought that will that tag work or not? Will the details actually be fetched while we are trying to send those communications? So initially, when they are trying to step back and look through it, they have not set a lot of automations there, and they've waited to see if things are working slow, or if they are actually functioning the way they would assume to function, right? Once they are comfortable there, I have had those discussions, and they have actually set a few other automations there, or added a few steps. Let's say, for example, they're trying to reach back to clients. What should be the time frame to send a next automation? Let's say today an email goes out. When should another email go out? Are we trying to be more specific? Are we sending it out on the third day itself, or on the second day itself? So those kind of alterations we have always discussed and seen, and touch points are always coming handy, right? A lot of clients you would see that might not like it, but that would be 2 out of 10, right? But the rest 8 would actually respond back to your emails or the follow-ups that you make. And then task automation would again be handy for you, given that your agents would be able to track what tasks they need to complete for the day, and they know what to complete and what to keep pending as well. So they are aware on a day-to-day basis what exactly is going on in the platform.
Yeah, so one thing that didn't work for Laura was her win-back pipeline, right? It wasn't that successful, so they're kind of tweaking their process,
Yes.
right? And reworking how they connect, and retarget those, clients that they want to win back. So, like I said,
Yes.
it's a continual, right? Process of tweaking things.
Exactly. Having said that, another thing that just popped up in my mind was the content section as well, right? So when we initially set up email contents or text contents, we try to customize that as well, right? If something is not working in terms of content, we always suggest that you change or you think of something else in terms of the content as well. You give them clickable areas or clickable sections, or you send them directly to your website if it is required, or you directly give them a form link which they can fill it up. So those kind of tweaks also work at times, and those are also part of customizations.
Yeah, and Mike had a good suggestion, like if you do come to support when they close a ticket, or in live chat, you can, give yourself an emoji, right? Or you can
Yes,
give them an emoji, which is very easy, right? And so
exactly.
how else could we take that? And like NPS is our answer to that, right? So,
True.
but I like the emoji thing. People love emojis. We love emojis, right?
Everyone loves that.
Right? If you're an iPhone, you might like them more than others. So lots of food for thought, lots of great interaction. We will have at the end, I know Kanal's going to talk a little bit about recapping the December updates, but our InsuredMine Academy does have all those video tutorials. Martin asked about that. So we have a QR code that you can scan, and then I'll also post the link to that registration page. And yeah, and so that's one of the things in 2025 too, that someone had commented that, we're gonna look to update some of those videos that we had, because, UI or user interface changes, so some of the videos you'd be like, are laid out a little bit differently. So we too have a roadmap for 2025, right?
We do.
Monty's got to stay busy.
Yes. We are always busy.
All right, so anything else on these slides that stands out, or does anybody have any other feedback before we kind of shift gears and talk about the recent updates within the InsuredMine portal? Kind of just post that in the chat. That would be awesome.
Yep. And meanwhile, I'll quickly log into my demo.
Okay. Yeah. So, and
wait.
even, have you found this session beneficial? Just type a yes or maybe, that we would love to have your feedback. I know that when we send out the webinar recap, we ask for that, because you
Yes.
are our clients and you're your users, right? So, we make changes based on feedback. And so what would you like to see for future webinars? I think we got a good plan, but we can always tweak that. Yeah, so roundtable brainstorming. So that is something that we entertained last year. It didn't really come to fruition. I know in the past we've had our Insured Mug user group or IM user group conferences. We were thinking about maybe doing some quarterly sessions based on AMS users, right? Or something like that. So that roundtable idea is resonated with a couple people in the chat. So we thank you for that. But we learn from each other here too.
Yeah.
So we'd love to know, did you find today's session helpful? Stella, thank you very much for saying yes. Avianca as well. I think I've talked to her on the phone before. So one thing about our InsuredMine family is, while you may have a dedicated CSM, I think we all touch our clients, right? We have an awesome support team, whether it's on live chat or you're emailing them at support. Our developers are very agile, as I like to say, right? If it's a valid suggestion that would benefit everybody, that would be a good thing. So we appreciate and value your partnership in that. So Stephen wants to know if we have a 2 or 3 day InsuredMine class. So Kunal's teaching that in Kolkata, India. You have to fly there. Kunal will feed you and house you. Love to have you. But the AMS specific user groups is something that we've entertained. So anybody have any other thoughts or comments they want to post in the chat before we kind of move on to our next part of the webinar? Last call, so to speak, before we shift gears. Okay. So
just to add on, another point just to add on would be this year 2025, we would also want to make the webinar more interactive. Rather than resharing a lot of times, we would also want to ask questions so that all the participants are always active and thinking on their toe, so that they answer certain things as well, right? So we have plans that way in terms of webinars that we are planning for, and that is how we would do that.
Yeah, and so watch out because we would love to have some guest speakers. I know that we've had some in the past, and it's very engaging because you're visually learning from somebody, and instead of just kind of talking back and forth. And Deepak wants to know if we can share our email addresses with him. So I'll take that offline, Kunal.
Sure.
But we're always here to help. And Paula asked about the beginning InsuredMine course. So in a couple of slides, I will post our InsuredMine Academy. So you'll be able to scan the QR code. If you log in as a first-time user to the InsuredMine Academy, it's really important to register as a new user because the password that you create there is going to be separate. But we have a great, it's about 40 minutes, an agent tutorial. There's a 24 or 5-minute video that you'll find very, very helpful. So
the admin tutorial as well.
Yep. And so Paula and Timothy, that's for you, as well as maybe a couple of others. So, all right, Kunal, you're going to go through some of these things. Do you want me to stop sharing so you can do anything, or you want to just go from here?
Yes, so I'll quickly give an overview on what all new releases has happened, and then we will of course be sharing the link as well so that they understand or look through those releases too. So in terms of releases, we have had a few releases in forms, pipelines, Google review, which we have now named as reputation, in reports, settings, and texting module as well. So I would be quickly covering this aspect, and I would be giving a quick walkthrough. You would find that there are few of the other options that have been released, but we would not take that as a discussion for today. Why? Because those are AMS related releases, and as I'm sharing the demo account, we would not find that in my demo itself. So that's the reason I've taken that off from our discussion, but we would be sharing the link, and if it relates to your AMS, you would be able to review that as well. Having said that, I will quickly request to share my screen.
And I'll post some links in the chat for others who are asking for some information.
Perfect. And I believe my screen should be visible now.
Oh, I'm not paying attention. Yes, it is, Kunal.
Okay, perfect. So the first discussion would of course be in forms. We have released a task opportunity back in our forms, and you would be now able to create a task for agents when a form is filled up. So that would be under form automation, and I'll quickly walk you through how exactly you can set that up. So through form automation, so right now I'm under the forms module. If you come back on any selected form on the 3 dots, you would have the form automation. Through here on the left hand side, you would find all the options, and at the bottom you would find the option which is create task mapping. In here, you first need to enable this. Once it's enabled, you would first do the mapping in terms of creating the task. So now this would be task fields and this is form fields. So you would basically do the mapping from all these options, and these questions are basically back in your form itself. So you would have to select the task name as per the form field. So you can keep it as name. If you have a description section in your form, you can keep it, or you select that option, or you can simply skip it as well. You can align the account name as per required from the form fields, as well as you can align the contact name from here as well. So these are the 4 fields that would be mapped in your task. The next thing that would be mapped would be the type of task that you're trying to create. Now you would have to select one from here. So you would select either it is a call that you're trying to ask the agent to complete, or if you're trying to get a general task created, if you would want the agent to know that they need to send an email, you simply select the options from here, what kind of a task you're trying to align. From here, you would select the assignee who should be receiving the task, and when the form is filled up, it should be aligned to that assignee itself or agent itself, right? From here, you can select multiple agents, or you can select one as per your requirement as well. Then the next option would be priority. So again, from here, what kind of a priority would this task be? If it's a medium, high, low, or normal priority, you select one and that would be aligned. The next option, or probably the last option over here, would be the due date after. So you can select a due date after how many days do you want the due date to be. So say, for example, it's 2 days, and you can select a time frame when the due date should come up. So by then, the agent would also receive a notification for the due task as well. Once you click on save, this automation would be saved, and the moment a form is filled up, this task would automatically be created and mapped. This is the first release that happened in terms of form automation. Any thoughts, any questions over here before I actually move to the next release?
I wonder if, is anybody using this, if that's on the chat? I know I posted a bunch of information just recently, so if anybody is using this, that would be awesome for your feedback.
Has anyone used it?
No, Estella says no, but it looks awesome.
Yeah.
So Kunal, why don't you click on that little help key over to the right?
Okay.
And so anytime you see that little help key on the right-hand side of the page, it's always going to open up our knowledge base pertaining to the page that you're on.
Exactly.
Yeah. And Laura mentioned that she's using the forms to task, and she just started using it this week. So, you know, it was a December release. We were all busy for the holidays and then kicking off the new year. So I posted the link to our release notes. So you may want to circle back on some of those. So Kunal, is this good for quote follow-ups, or what are you?
So this, my suggestion would be a general task. So I would not suggest this for a code follow-up, because this, once it fills up, that is when this gets generated. So you can just ask the agent to quickly review what exactly they need to fill, or let's say, for example, they need to call the client, they can do that as well. So again, requirement, depending on the requirement, they need to create the task and map it, because it again gets assigned to one agent itself, right? So that is again one of those opportunities there.
Yeah, so Laura, if you can post in there, how are you using the form to a task? I mean, what's your task? I guess. Because it's for somebody to do something.
Yes.
Kunal, I'm signing you a task. Remarket. Oh, so you're using it for remarketing. Okay, awesome.
Perfect. And then we move ahead, right? So our next release that I would be talking about will be in the pipeline. So again, we have released pipeline timeline this time in December releases, and this would actually help you. So again, let me quickly get back. So in here, once you're in the pipeline module, you can simply come back on the right hand side. Just beside filter, we have added the pipeline timeline option. In here, you can actually have a quick overview of what exactly has went through within this pipeline and when exactly that has been done. So you can see when an email has been triggered or a task being created, or what exactly has been done, if it's changing a stage for one deal card, anything within the pipeline has been done, you would have a quick overview you can review this timeline as well. And you would also find that if you would want to switch over that to that specific deal card, you have that opportunity from here on the right hand side corner. So this would be the icon which you can simply click, and you would be able to directly navigate inside the deal card and start working on it as well. Or if you need to review something real quick, you can click and get inside the deal card as well. So this is again a quick overview. Rather than going inside, previously you would have to go inside each deal card to look through what exactly has happened. But now you would simply do that through pipeline timeline itself.
That's really awesome. And this was a feature request from one of our clients because, as an admin or a sales manager, or you're working, with your renewal team, you can kind of come in here and look at that timeline across the whole thing. And like Kunal said, instead of going inside, because each deal card has its own timeline, but geez, that's really time consuming. So good coaching opportunity. Can you show that again, Kunal? So, where that pipeline timeline is?
Option. Yes, so you would just find that option just beside the filter on the right hand side top corner. So you would have a clock kind of a feature right over here, and you can simply click on it to review that.
Yeah, and that's not just an admin thing. That's an agent can do that as well.
Yes.
And so Estella says, she says it's awesome and helping her and their clients. So that's great.
Perfect. We move over to our new another release that has happened over pipeline itself. So you would now find that the percentage change filter in pipeline is also applicable, and that would be applicable for your renewal pipeline itself, right? So when you are working on your renewals, you would find that you have the percentage of change option. Now, this is not the release. I'm just trying to give you an overview. So your premium and the renewal amount that changes, that percentage gets automatically calculated and stored right over here. The release is basically back in the filter. So now in here, you can actually filter by the premium rate. So in here, you can actually review and between 10 to 20% how many gets applied. So once you review that, you can actually do that from filter option. So again, this is the demo. It would not show me any results, but this is the premium rate filter that you can apply as well. So this is the percentage change filter in the pipeline. And this is specifically for renewals as well.
Perfect. All right. What else you got, Kunal?
Perfect. We also have reputation. So again, NPS filter throughout the portal, right? So again, in reputations, we have made certain changes, and now you would be able to trace and track your NPS numbers as well within accounts, within contacts, as well as I'll show that in the engagement module too. So when I say that, I basically mean that you would be able to trace your NPS ratings. And right now you are seeing that I'm in the account module, and you would be able to actually make it as a table column to review your NPS rating as well. So this is an additional option that you now get, and you can add it in your table column to review that NPS scores as well. So you would be able to add it, and you would have all the NPS ratings available right over here.
Yeah, so Kunal, we use this too, right? So because you might be getting an NPS request from us.
We do, yes. And you can then filter as well. So if you're looking for all the 10 NPS ratings that you have received, you can simply click on 10 and you can simply hit apply, and it would show you the filter for all the 10 ratings that you have received from your accounts.
Yeah, so Kunal, as we went back to the renewal percentage, I'm not sure that's working for every AMS. and then how are those percentages being pulled from the system? Because they come in with the renewal, right? Exactly.
So once the renewal is done, it would then come flowing from your AMS itself, and then it gets calculated, right? So probably at this moment, you can see it's 711. But when you're actually renewing for this policy, it becomes 1,000, right? So then it gets calculated, and the percentage change automatically gets calculated by the system.
So I suppose the agent could put their dollar amount in there if they knew it, right?
The renewal amount?
Yeah.
But this generally flows when you actually update it back in your AMS. So my suggestion would be once you renew it and you put it back in your emails, that's when it flows through. Not do it manually. That is what my suggestion would be. Yeah.
All right, I know we've only got about 10 minutes left and you probably have 2 or 3 more things to cover. And so I put the link to the webinars in the chat, and I think you had a recording for all these December webinars, right, Kunal, in the...
I did. Perfect. So again, we were talking about the accounts module, the NPS rating numbers. You would find the same back in the contact module as well, and you can filter it. So let me see if I actually brought in here the ratings. Let me see real quick. I'll search the NPS. Yeah. So I've selected that option, and it would be applicable right over here as well as the table column. So you would also be able to verify it right from the contacts module as well. So accounts contacts is 2 places from which you can review that. The another place that you would be able to trace it would be from engagement, and you can create a list out of it as well. So you can create a list out of it in terms of contacts and in terms of accounts as well. So I'll quickly navigate through contacts, and you would now be able to see that you have the NPS rating as an option in here. And if you're just trying to look for everyone who has given you 10 and 9, you can simply do the search accordingly. So this is the NPS filter, which has now been released for the accounts, contacts, and creating a list. The next thing that we would look through would be the Google review. And again, we get back to reputations. And in here, the option that we have added in is under the Get Google Reviews. So once we are under Get Google Review, you can simply search for a single client whom you are trying to send a Google review link. So let's suppose I'm trying to send it to myself. Once you do that, you fill in the rest of the details. You are trying to send this via email or via text, depending on how you're trying to send it. And then you have the options for English or Spanish. The update is right over here from which email address you're trying to send it. So previously, it was only going out from your email address, but now you also have an option to select your agency support email. So if you do not want to send out the email from your own email address, you can simply switch over to agency support email and send this out for the Google review as well. So that's another opportunity that you find in here in terms of reputation under Google review. Another additional feature under Google review itself is the Google rating color settings. Again, this is a small change, but you can now customize the button color as well. So right here, you now get to choose a color as per your preference, and you would have the color changes in terms of the stars that go out, which they can select. And you can simply save it, and it would go out all green. So this is now another capability for color changing as well in terms of Google review email automations.
Yeah, because I see your buttons are green here in the demo account, so that's also part of the, the appearance. You can change your colors throughout the portal.
The next update is in settings module under mandatory fields. So let me quickly switch you over to settings. And once you're under mandatory fields, you would now find when you're trying to add a deal card, we have added a few more options in terms of business emails, business phone number, contact email if it's commercial, contact phone if it's commercial. And these are the required fields that we have added in while you're trying to add a deal card. So you can make those options as mandatory fields now, which previously was not an option. So these options have been added in terms of mandatory fields while you're trying to add a deal card. The last option or the last discussion in terms of feature for the day is in the texting module. Let me quickly switch you over to texting, and I'll quickly try to send a text to Paula. The feature that I'm trying to talk about is actually the opportunity to schedule a text, and you have the capability to edit the scheduled text as well. So say, for example, I'm just trying to send Paula a quick hi, and I simply do a scheduling. So I do a schedule send, and I pick up a date and time. Let's suppose I want this to be sent on 31st.
Don't send it to me at midnight. I'll be sleeping. You gotta change the time.
Yeah.
Because that's always tricky. People will forget to change the AM, PM at the top.
Yes, that's right there. So I do it this morning and I simply do a done, right? And I do a send. Once I've sent this out, you would find that this gets scheduled, and you can also hover your mouse right in here to look into the option that it says it's scheduled on 31st, right? But now you can also edit it if you would want to customize before it actually goes out. So for tomorrow, if I come back and I want to add something else in terms of the message before it actually goes out, I can simply do an edit now in here, and I can add, hi, Paula, how are you? I can edit it and I can simply update it. I can choose a different time altogether if I would want, or I can simply keep it as it is and I do a scheduled send. Once I do that, the message gets updated, and now it also gets scheduled with the updated message as well. Or you can simply do a delete as well. But this option is a new addition as a feature, which you can now edit if you're scheduling a text.
Okay, Canal, you're a fast talker. Let's take a pause here.
Yes.
So this texting is for anybody, right?
Yes.
That's for anybody. But when you were on the previous pipeline setups for the mandatory fields, that's an admin setting. So
Exactly.
when you're in the portal and sometimes you don't see a functionality or a button that we're talking about, it's because the admin has the access or the magic wand to set things up in the portal. And so that's why you may or may not see some of those things.
Yes.
Okay,
Correct.
and then I'll connect with Deepak after the meeting today. If you scroll up a little bit within the meeting, if anybody wants to copy those links that I sent, they're in there at about 2:41 time frame. Our business growth and alignment survey is in there. We'd love for you to share your feedback with us so that your CSM can better align your goals for 2025. The webinar link is there. The InsuredMine Academy link. So if you've already registered previously, that's awesome. You can just sign back in. But if you're new to the registration, then you'll need to create a separate password, because we know that you want another password in your life. The system recognizes your email address, so that's how it authenticates you to come in. And I also post a link to our knowledge base. Canal, while I kind of switch screens, can you see the chat and see if there's anything else in there before I kind of go back to the presentation?
Absolutely. Let me check that. I think Mike mentioned, and I am it's only 20 reviews, but I have a lot more than that. So Mike, if that's the case, my suggestion would be you reach out to our support team to have a quick review on it. And I think they would be able to help you there. If there are more reviews and it is not synced through, they would review that and it would be applicable.
Yeah, it could be something as simply as a refresh or a disconnect and reconnect. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep. All right. So for those of you that are QR code savvy, we have the link here to the InsuredMine Academy. That is also in the chat that I put there. Highly recommend. We have AMS guides in there specifically to your agency management system. There's a 24-minute video overview of the portal. There's an agent course, and then there's an admin course. Cool. And then there's some other courses in there if you're specifically with a cluster group that we have designed especially for you. And then on our next screen, you can register for the webinars with this QR code as well. Our next webinars, by the way, let's see, is, when is it? It's February. It's February 12th. It's at 1 o'clock Central Time. And in that session, we are going to be reviewing the February updates. So we'll have a release next week, and I do believe. Kunal, before I stop, I'm gonna stop sharing. Do you still have the demo account open?
I think so. Yeah.
Can you share your screen? Because I just want to show everybody where the what's new button is, because lots of times, you know, we forget where things are. So I'm gonna make a couple of notes from chat. Do you want to show where the what's new is while we wrap up?
So right over here on the top right, you would have the what's new. Once you click on here, you would be able to trace what are the new releases that are happening. You can simply click on view all and it would take you to the release notes page. And in here, you would be able to look into the December releases. If there is upcoming releases that would happen, I know of, and you would also find them present over here.
Hey, while you're here and we still have quite a few people on, can you go back to the demo account and show us how to access the training modules from there?
Yes. So you simply click on the cue ball with a question mark right here, just below settings. And once you're in this page, you would then be able to navigate to InsuredMine training. You click on InsuredMine training, this tutor login page would open up. In here, it would be asking you for your email address and password. For the first timers, you would have to click right over here. Now, this login, password, and username would be different from your actual email address that you use. So when I say the actual email address that you use to log into InsuredMine, you would be using the same email address, but you would first have to register if you're trying to access this the first time. So you simply click on register now. It open up the registration page. You add in your full name, last name, username as per your requirement, the email address that you use to log into InsuredMine. You can set a password for yourself, and this would be a different one. You reconfirm the password and you simply click on register. It would be highlighted. This is in gray at this moment because I've not filled in anything. But once you fill in, you would be able to register, and then it would take you back to the sign up itself. And then going forward, you would be utilizing the sign up login password.
Yep, perfect. And that's the link I put in the chat group is to the actual register now page. If you're a returning customer, you'll just log back in. So, all right. So we went a little over. We got a lot of people that stayed with us. So we thank you very much for your participation. We know your time is valuable. Hopefully you found it beneficial. I've got some takeaways here, Kunal, that you and I will connect on. And thanks everybody. And we hope to see you on February 12th. For the February updates.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Kunal. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate your part.
Yes. Have a good rest.